Hey, hey. Y'all know I start every show dancing, y'all, but welcome to the ShePub Network where we talk books, authors, and publishers. I am Shanita Finesse, CEO and founder of She Publishing LLC. And tonight, as we do every evening, we have a special guest for you, one of our new authors on the blog. And I can't wait for you to meet her. I can't wait for her to share her story and tell us a little bit about herself. But before we begin, I do want to share with you some of the things we got going on here at She Publishing LLC. One of the first things I want to tell you guys about is we are having the 2025 She Conference and Networking Convention. It will be in the Chicagoland area, specifically Downers Grove at Lakes at Lacey. And so we're going to be celebrating 5 years of the company, again, as well as books, authors, and several of publishers that publish books. So we want to come and celebrate our literary community. And then that will actually be a 3-day event, September 19th, 20th, and 21st. But September 20th will be the big gala. Now, the next big thing that we have going on next year, and there's several things going on, but it is the Writers Cruise, the Meet the World Writers Cruise. And so we're collaborating with Meet the World. The cruise will be August 29th to September 30th. It's adults only, meals included, balcony rooms. We're going to have a lot going on. There'll be several speakers. So if you want to know more information about that, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm going to put it on our Facebook platform as well as on our YouTube platform. But I absolutely wanted you guys to know about two of those big things that's happening, because if you're interested in writing, if you're interested in vacationing, that's the place you want to be. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the author of the hour tonight. And so let me tell you a little bit about Elfie. Now, she was born in Wadsworth, Ohio, and I hope I'm saying these names correctly. And she is the youngest of 17 children, y'all. Okay. Now, I'm gonna make sure I clear that up with her when we bring her on, y'all. But I have four daughters. I think my grandmother had about nine children, but she'll fill us in on that, you guys. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education and a Master's of Arts in Education. And over her 37-year teaching career, she has made a significant impact teaching for 18 years in Ohio and 19 years in Florida. Notably, Elfie was a Teacher of the Year finalist in Osceola County, Florida, and she also received an OSMI award. She is also the author of a previous book that she wrote, Let Me Tell You a Story. So, again, without further ado, and she'll correct me if I said anything wrong, y'all, but without further ado, I'd like to introduce Elfie.
You. Thanks for having me, and you did great.
Now, what is Osceola? Is that the proper name?
Osceola is
Osceola.
it's actually an Indian term, like Native
Wow.
American. Sorry, I should have said Indian. Native American term, because that was what the county was named for. Osceola.
Osceola. All
Mhm.
right. Wow, that's wonderful. And then 17 children. Can you please help us understand?
I thought you were going to ask me to list them. Um, uh, 17 children, and I'm the youngest, and I always say they save the best for last. But my mom was an only child. My dad was the oldest of seven, and they had 17 children.
Wow.
We've spanned several states, and the last three of us were born up here in Northeast Ohio. So there's a whole bunch of stories that could be told just from family events and things that have happened and growing up in a large family. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Absolutely. And so how many children do you have? Any children of your own?
None.
Okay, from 17 to 0.
None. And being the youngest, I guess the opportunity was, you can borrow nieces and nephews and give them back.
Look, that's always the best. That's always
Yeah,
the best.
so I'm all right.
And that is really interesting because my mother's come from a really big family
Mhm.
and she had only me.
Wow.
And then I decided to have four, and I thought that was a lot. But it's a lot for me, especially in this day and age.
Hmm. That is, but it's not bad. I'm sure they're beautiful kids too.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they are. So I'm gonna jump right into it. So
Okay.
what motivated you? And we're gonna talk about the book
Mhm.
now. So what motivated you to choose the title? Let me tell you a story, Genesis, and how does that reflect the theme of the book?
Well, the first book that I wrote was called "Let Me Tell You a Story," and it was just talking about stories. Like we would sit around and just, at family events, we would be sitting around talking about things that happened and laughing a lot. And, then in 37 years of teaching and just, being my age, I've grown up uh, being able to experience a lot of things in my life. So I chose Let Me Tell You a Story for that book. And it's just simply telling you a story. And when I started the second project, I wanted to keep the theme of Let Me Tell You a Story, but then I focused in on Genesis, which was the different project from telling just personal stories. And this is actually talking about the book of Genesis in the Bible. So I'm telling you stories about Genesis, basically.
Okay, all right. And so it's more of a teaching experience for
Yes,
those of us who read the book.
yes,
I
yes.
love that. I love that. And I absolutely love the way the book is set up and it allows you to after you've read, you ask questions
Mm-hmm.
so that we can then maybe elaborate on what we interpreted from the story. All right. So with Let Me Tell You a Story, the first book, and then you have the second book.
Mm-hmm.
Are you intending on doing a Let Me Tell You a Story and go into all the Bible stories, or what are your plans?
Well, that's a great question. The next project is going to be going back to some personal stories because the first book I got a lot of good feedback from people and such nice compliments from the readers. And then I decided to change it up and do the Genesis project because I found out that there's a need for people to understand the basics and the foundations of the Word of God, and a lot of people don't like reading the Bible because they think it's complicated to understand. So, seeing the need for that, I just went with Genesis because it's telling stories basically. So I just tried to use the same concept and just break it down into stories that are readable, because I don't want people to get discouraged for reading the Word of God. And I just, I don't know that I don't know. I may go on to Exodus, at some point, because I did have a
Mhm.
good time with Genesis. I really did. And then getting feedback from people on the first one, they told me that I should do a devotional, and I'm going, okay, I could tie a little bit in with this one then on that. So that's
Yeah.
where we got it.
Yeah, and I love that because for me, personally, yeah, I like to read the Bible, and sometimes it's the interpretation part, and that's when you
Mhm.
go to church and you get the teachings and the Bible study.
Yes.
But I also love it when I can find another book that can help me to break down some of the
Mhm.
components of it and share with me your thoughts about the book as well.
And I
So
like putting a little bit of history into it. Like I enjoy the history of the Bible. I enjoy the Old Testament and reading the Old Testament. And Genesis was a good place to start because people don't even my family who was raised in church, there's many of them who don't even know the stories in Genesis. And I'm going, wow, I somebody needs to tell them, make it easy reading for them. And that's what I was trying to do.
yeah, and you did. In my opinion, you truly did that.
Thank you.
Um, Now, was there any challenges in you writing the story?
Yes, and when you're trying to, I'm not interpreting the Bible. I'm just retelling stories. Um, I did not know, um, how people would take it for one thing, because it's like they look at you like you're trying to interpret it and it's your opinion about things. So then I had to step back and just, go scripture on them and take my opinion out and use a little bit of history and go with the scholars on the Bible study end of it and just put a little bit of history in there, along with just retelling the basic story, but keeping it simple. So, yeah, trying to keep my opinion out of it was really, really hard because, when you're raised a certain way and you hear these stories over and over and over again, you take it that that's the way it was. But in fact, when you really get into the word, you're getting a different I don't want to say interpretation, you're getting a different understanding of it. And I had to pull myself back out of what I believe and use the actual scripture, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense, and it's really, I'm glad you said that and explained that, because some people may think that, and it's like, no, I'm just telling the story, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have the questions, and then you're able to interpret that. And two things, it's so funny because when we met, one of the first things you asked me, I don't know if you remember, but
I
one of
do.
the first things you asked me, yeah, was, hey, wait, what was it?
I said, "Do you know Jesus? Are you a Christian?"
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you did. And I said, absolutely.
Yeah, I
And
remember
and and
that.
I thought that was such a great, amazing question, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I loved it, and it was an honor for you to allow us to publish that project. Now, secondly, what I think of when I think about your book is I think about gifting that book to people in my family, and
Mm-hmm.
then actually having a round table
Mm-hmm.
about what we thought and our different interpretations. And I could see you doing something like that. I can even see like some kind of a podcast or something, but even if it's simply people buying the book for the family and having this whole round table with your friends or family or people who you are in ministries with, I think that's a great idea. So, have you ever thought of doing something in addition to just writing the book?
Yes, and I'm not that brave yet. So it's um I just retired. And
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm not really good with technology. Um, I've looked into doing podcasts and things like that. I haven't stepped out in that venture yet. But I know it's there. I know that when the doors open, I'll be ready to do it. Just right now, I'm not sure how far I can go with that piece of it, but I have a desire to be able to just be able to talk about the book, and to talk about Genesis, and to use it as a Bible study tool. I mean, there's a lot of things, like you said, that can be done with it. And I've tried to make it as easy as possible, breaking it down into just a couple of pages with some really good thought provoking questions so that, even kids could read this and understand, I think, as well as adults, and especially those adults who just don't like to read. So I try to take all that into consideration. And yes, I do hope that people will sit down and actually work through it and think about the questions and think about how good the scripture is and how good God was to us in the very, very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And when you talk about the length of the book and nowadays how people don't always read all the time
Mhm.
or want that. One of the things that I love about the way that the book is set up is because you don't have to read through the whole thing at one time. You
Right.
have these short sections.
Hmm.
We can just take this one section one day at a time, one weekend at a time, and then just go through that one section. And it's a lot in that content that you can talk about and build upon for the entire week,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah,
provoke
so
some good discussions. Excuse me. I think that, you know, Genesis is foundational, in my opinion. And you have to understand, the basics of the entire Bible. And if you start at Genesis, that gives you a good foundation of where it happened, what happened. And if you understand some of the history, then you should be able to have a good foundation and to start building on something in your life, instead of just trying to read and figure it out on your own. I wanted to take all the hard part out of it because there are new Christians coming in, to the faith, and they need help. They need
mhm,
something, they need an easy tool, as a good foundation or good place to start. So that was the purpose of this, was to help them, just think through some things and also get some of that foundation stuff within their own lives.
yeah, yeah, I like the sound of that. So, as far as the readers are concerned,
Mhm.
what do you hope readers take away from Let Me Tell You a Story, either book, and
Mhm.
how do you want the book to resonate with different audiences?
The purpose of the first book was, the basics was that, sometimes people go through things and you say, yeah, I understand what you're going through. I've been there. The book itself is raw, because these are actual stories that go deep into, some situations where people don't like to talk about certain things, especially when it comes to excuse me, like your personal life or personal situations you go through, that like you're fighting a battle, but you don't want anybody to know that. Or there are things that happen in church that you get confused about, or that you're fighting or you're battling, and it's just issues, that I tried to cover. And I really honestly let people know, that I've been in your shoes, I've been there, I've had those experiences. Excuse me. And it all turned back around to, God brought me through it. And it all pointed back to God. In Genesis, you cannot help but look at this in each one of these stories and seeing the miracles of God and how everything goes back to God. This is, it's just a life builder, it's just a thought provoking life building study, in my opinion of it.
Yeah. One of the things that I have often said is that if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I mean 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and told me, what were you gonna be?
Hmm.
And if somebody would have told me a publisher, I would have been like, nah, no. My background is legal, okay?
Correct.
And I currently, manage the operations of a federal courthouse. So to tell
Yeah.
me that I would be a publisher, no. But one thing I will tell you about being a publisher is that it's the most humbling career that I
Yeah.
could have ever had, and I'm grateful to God for that.
Hmm.
If it were not for COVID, and I know we lost a lot of people during COVID, and um, it was a challenging for all of us, but it was also enriching for some of us because that's when I had the audacity to start a publishing company, and audacity in a good way, y'all.
Yes.
And I owe it to God. Like, it's a blessing to meet so many different authors. And I tell people, and I'm telling you now, whether you know it or not, Elfie, I'm actually going through something right now that I'd rather not share. And taking some pieces of your book, going back to those foundational stages
Mhm.
of Genesis, it's helping a sister out.
Good. That's good. I'm making progress.
Yeah, look, you seeing some of the world here now. But
That's
because we yeah, because we go through these things that we don't want to share at the moment,
right.
and I'm gonna share them with my guy. That's who
Yes.
I feel comfortable sharing them with
Yes.
when I'm going through it or growing through it, or however people want to identify when they're going through things. But yeah, it's a true blessing. But becoming an author, becoming a publisher, what made you want to become an author before you even wrote your first publication? Let me tell your story.
As far back as I can remember, I have wanted to write. I love writing, and I was pretty good at it. Like I've got a good base, for grammar, and then being a teacher, you have to know how to write. Um, so it's those skills, right? And I'm the kind of person that I'm always writing down sermons. I'm writing down, I mean, like what I get in church. Like I'm writing down the high points. I'm always writing, always writing. I can be driving in the car, and I know I should be texting, but I will, pull out the notes and I will just jot down something. It's like I've got thoughts in my head that just have to get out. So I think probably in fifth grade, I had a teacher that seriously inspired me. And I started writing in fifth grade, and I've got poems and stories that I had written in fifth grade. But you're a kid. Then in my educational career, I never had time to do anything because I thought it was a difficult process. But then actually, when it came down to it, writing it and getting it down on paper was the easy part. The publishing part, can be a little challenging, but that's your process. That's not mine.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I love writing. I really, really do. I love writing. And I've written songs, I've composed songs. So it's all been everything
Wow.
together. God has just blessed me with talent and gifts, and I'm not boasting about it. I thank God for what He has done in my life. And now I have time to do what I love doing. So that's been
Wow.
the most important and fun part of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. My mother is retired now,
Nice.
and I still have to make an appointment to see her. So
Yes,
so
it
just
happens. It's
because
real.
yeah, like, just because you're retired doesn't mean you
Uh,
don't have stuff going on.
no, I'm getting ready to listen. I get to volunteer, and part I know of what I had sent in the pictures was for Samaritan's Purse, and
Yes.
I just got back from a trip to Asheville, and that is my heart. That's my passion is serving, and I'm getting ready to go this next weekend. I'm taking a carload of toys to kids in West Virginia that were affected by the hurricane in the Appalachian area. So it's
Yes.
just like I am on the go, but I'm doing good things for God. He's putting me in so many different directions and opening up so many doors. I'm just having a blast. I really am.
Yes.
I'm having a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
I love it. I love it. And viewers, if you have any questions for Elfie, please write them in the chat, send them. If we don't have an opportunity to answer them tonight, I will make sure to get those questions to Elfie so that she can answer those questions, and I'll pop
Yes.
them in there. And then
Yes.
also, again, if you drop a question, tell us where you're from. You can enter to win a bag of stories. And once Elfie's book is published, because it ain't even published yet, y'all,
Yeah.
once it is published, you will get a copy of that book, but you gotta answer. You gotta ask a question, though. You gotta ask a question.
Nice. And it's
All right.
beautiful. I love the cover. I love the cover. I am so excited for this to happen because this has just been, it's been another dream. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we're honored to have you. So actually, you answered my the next question that I have for you, and it was, what do you do when you're not writing? And so you said volunteering.
I volunteer a lot. I play pickleball a lot. I wanted to do that when I retired. And so I've had the opportunity to play, and I'll play probably 3 to 4 times a week. And I've gotten better, but I can still improve. I just ordered a keyboard, so I want to get back to playing the piano and
Nice.
writing. I mean, I stay busy, girl. I'm just saying.
Look, look.
And this time of year, really, too, it's been really busy, but it's a good kind of busy. And I love what God's doing. I love Jesus with all my heart.
Yes. So for the viewers who don't know what pickleball is, what is that?
Okay, pickleball is the new craze. So it's like a
Okay.
combination of uh, tennis, um, ping pong, and it's got wiffle balls that you play. So it's like you're playing on top of a ping pong table, using tennis strokes and a paddle. So
Okay.
it's really fun. It's really fun.
Okay, yeah, look, I'm gonna have to try it out then, I guess,
It's really
look, you're
good
opening my eyes
exercise.
to these different things, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right, so as far as your the book that will be out,
Mhm.
it will be on several different platforms, and again, it's not out just yet. And as a matter of fact, it will be coming out on Christmas, which
I'm so
is
excited.
yes. So, you guys will be able to get our book on again several different platforms like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, maybe even Target. Our platform, She Publishing LLC, and just several other platforms that I'm sure it will be on. And I am really hoping for this book to actually go global as well, because you know people have faiths in different areas of the world. So I am really hoping for that. And I can't wait to share that news with you when it happens. You got to speak it right when it happens.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I can't wait.
All right. So now, what final words do you have for our guests?
Well, I can tell you that I will share this story that I haven't really shared with anybody, but um, I actually was prophesied over when I was in Florida. I was prophesied over by this total stranger that I met in a parking lot of a grocery store. And I had just commented on her granddaughter's shirt and it had Jesus on it. I said, "Oh," I said, "I love Jesus." From that, it went to, um, she started prophesying over me. And she said, "I see two books in your hands, one in your right hand and one in your left hand." And she said, "One of these books," she said, "is going to touch so many lives." She said, "You have no idea." She said, "Write it." And she said, "Be real and be transparent like you are." And I'm going, okay, did I already do it or is it coming? you know, but I know God is in this. When that stuff happens, I know God is in it. And I just am so excited about things happening. I'm excited about getting this book out to everybody, because it's really, really going to be just a blessing to anybody who gets it. I know that because God is in it. And man, I'm just excited for you to have it in your hands.
Yeah. And I have when you are a believer and these things happen, it's like you get chills,
Yes.
because you're like, hold up, you don't know what I'm doing. Like, how it is that, and I'm so glad you shared that story, because it also reminds me of a so I was visiting my daughter at school once, and we were coming out of a restaurant, and next thing you know, like a woman came up to me and was like, "I want to let you know that God hears your prayers." And it was like, hold up. Now, like first, like you have somebody coming up to you like, oh, wait, step. But you know what I'm saying? First, but then when
Yes.
she said that, it was just like, but I have been praying. I have been praying a
Mhm.
whole lot. And it just gave me comfort. And
Yes.
like it was like, wow, really?
Yes.
So I sharing that story, I can definitely relate
Mhm.
to those moments happening. And you're like, wow,
Yes. And
like
then,
he's good
okay, I
all the
gotta tell you,
time.
here's an addition. So I go in and I get
Oh, okay.
this is what was weird. I go in and I get my lunch, come back out, go back to the house, and I opened up a fortune cookie and it said, "You will soon meet a stranger with blessings to share." And I'm going, I think I just met her in the parking lot. So I'm going,
Oh
God can speak through you to anything, or through you
my
to
God,
anything it wants to, even a fortune cookie. So that's confirmation.
that's funny. No, that's hilarious.
That's awesome. I
No,
love it.
yeah, me too, right?
Yeah.
So I want to let you guys know that Elfie will be on the cover of December's B&B newsletter mag, and that's being wrapped up as we speak to you guys because it is launching the same day, December 25th. Um, this is the book cover. Let me tell you a story. Jenna says you will get to meet Elfie. We're going to tell you some things about her. We'll talk about the holidays and we'll also talk about our December book reads and our December book launches from She Publishing LLC. So, again, it has been a pleasure
Thank you.
meeting you, connecting with you, interviewing, and having a conversation with you. Um, and I'm just excited for the book to come out because look, I want this to be that one. I want this to be
It's going places. Just go along for the ride.
exactly, exactly. So, with that said, we thank you guys for joining us this evening. I wish you guys a happy holidays. Be grateful for everything.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all those
Mhm.
other good things. And I wish the very best for you guys for the holidays as well as for the new year.
Yes.
And with that said,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.